Hello, everybody. My name is Andrea Jones. I am a registered nurse and functional hormone practitioner, certified in homeopathy, and about to become board certified in neurofeedback, brain training, board certified neurofeedback practitioner. But for the purposes of this training, I am going to be sharing from a functional holistic practitioner perspective all about the microbiome. So, my goal with this course is, or this class is really to help you to understand how complex your microbiome is and what you can do to address these chronic problems that you've been experiencing that maybe you didn't even know were causing issues. So let's dive right in. I'm excited to dive in with you today. All right, so what we're going to cover, we are going to cover what your symptoms really mean from a root cause perspective. So I'm going to be helping you to understand your symptoms and how that ties to specific root causes. We're going to be addressing why what you've tried to address the problem has not worked. We're going to be talking about how your gut, skin, mood, and sleep are all connected and what you can do to support that. And then I'm going to be sharing with you 3 steps to a healthier microbiome. All right, so let's talk about it. What is your microbiome and why does it matter? Your microbiome is a collection of all microbes, such as bacteria, fungi, viruses, and their genes that naturally live on our bodies and inside of us. That's right. You have a microbiome on your skin, in your mouth, in your eyeballs, in all of your different orifices, and of course, inside of your body. Although microbes are so small that they require a microscope to see them, they contribute in big ways to your overall health and wellness. They protect us against pathogens, help our immune system to develop, and enable us to digest food and produce energy. It's amazing that your bacteria literally do make you who you are. And we can change how we feel about our bodies and in our bodies and our overall health by supporting that microbiome. All right, so let's talk about digestion. So, a lot of us think of digestion as just what happens in our belly, in our gut, but digestion actually begins with your eyeballs. So, as soon as your eyes actually see food, the moment that your eyes see food, your body begins to secrete enzymes in your mouth that cause you to salivate. That's why somebody could bring out a piece of cake and you could start feeling saliva in your mouth. That's actually the production of enzymes to help you prepare for food breakdown. Your mouth bacteria actually helps to support the total breakdown of your food and protein in digestion. And so, if we're having lower digestive issues like bloating or gas or discomfort in those areas, that can actually be our mouth microbiome that's off. That could be creating issues. So, a lack of certain bacteria in the mouth not only can cause cavities, but can also impair our overall digestion. Even things like experiencing heartburn or nausea when you're hungry, all of those things actually can be contributed to by poor mouth bacteria. Bacteria or mouth bacteria also help with the breakdown of fatty foods, carbs, and protein. These mouth bacteria should be killed off in the stomach. So if we see them in your poop sample, that means that the stomach acid is low and it's causing other issues. So we should never see mouth bacteria in a stool sample. If we do, that means it's not being broken down properly. And if the mouth bacteria are not being broken down properly, we can assume that food also is not being broken down properly, which is something that we commonly see on stool analysis. Let's talk about where food is broken down. Okay, so food is broken down in the stomach by, which is right here, sorry, right here, by stomach acid and enzymes in the stomach. So food, as that food is being broken down by the stomach, bile gets released. I'm going to zoom in here from the gallbladder to specifically break down fats. So those fats are really, really important. They help us to um, remember things. So they help with our memory, our focus, and our attention. But we also need them for overall cellular protection. Okay. So So the gallbladder specifically is there to break down fats. Food then moves through the intestine, so from the stomach into the small intestine and then the large intestine, as the body absorbs nutrients and fluid to keep your other organs alive and healthy. So your digestion plays a huge role in the overall health of all of your other organs. Sorry about that. Came a little slow. There we go. Just make sure I didn't skip. Okay. All right. So what do your symptoms really mean? So I'm just going to go through a list of symptoms, and at the end of this training, you will have the option to fill out a complete GI assessment form that will help me to identify for you the areas that you need to work on. So what your symptoms actually mean. So difficulty digesting vegetables, belching or burping, lack of appetite or low hunger or even excess hunger, nausea with an empty stomach, feeling full after not eating very much, difficulty digesting protein, meaning that it feels like maybe it's really difficult, you feel really full or bloated after eating meat products, or a burning sensation in your chest after eating. Let's talk about what this means. Low stomach acid, low enzymes, and H. pylori. So low stomach acid, a lot of times we think that heartburn means we have too much acid, but really what that's telling us is the body's trying to raise the acid because it's too low. So when we start to increase acidic foods and balance out the hydrochloric acid in the stomach, we actually see a resolution of those symptoms. Now, H. pylori is a bacteria that lives in the lining of the stomach and can cause all of these symptoms. So it's really important that if you have symptoms of H. pylori, that you are treating those appropriately, number one. You're addressing the bacterial imbalance, but you're also supporting stomach acid and your enzymes. Otherwise, the H. pylori will just come back when you're finished with the treatment, and we definitely don't want that. So it's really important to recognize that none of these symptoms are normal. And if you're having these type of symptoms, you're likely also having issues with your mood. So anxiety, depression, insomnia, irritability, fatigue. And I'll talk to you about why that is here in a few slides. There we go. Let's talk about this particular symptom grouping. So acne, eczema, constipation, diarrhea, and bloating. What do these all have in common? Leaky gut and dysbiosis. So let's talk about why this is. So in your digestive tract, and I hope I have a picture of this here somewhere. In your digestive tract, you have this mucosal lining that looks like this. It's a bunch of little gooey gel-like fibers on all of the surfaces of your intestines. And when there's inflammation or infections, those gooey gel-like little surface molecules begin to break down. And those surface molecules begin to break down and they create essentially microscopic holes in the intestine that allow for pathogens and toxins to permeate the intestines and get into the bloodstream. And when this happens, the body's next phase of detoxification is through the skin. So anything that you see coming out of your skin is more than likely a gut problem. So it's really, really important that when you're working with a practitioner on any of these issues, that they are also working on your digestive tract, okay? Because the skin will absolutely show you what's happening in the digestive tract. And it's important to address this as quickly as you can so that it does not create further issues like leaky gut, SIBO, SIFO, which is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, or small intestinal fungal overgrowth, which can cause a whole cascade of other issues. So we want to address this as thoroughly as we can to make sure that you are seeing appropriate progress with your symptoms. All right, and then this third grouping of symptoms. So this is where we see insomnia, mood swings, irritability, anxiety, behavioral changes, PMS, or ADHD. And again, this points to leaky gut or dysbiosis. And I'm actually going to go back here a few slides to just kind of show you what the connection is. Okay, so we have what's called the gut-brain axis, which is communicated through the vagus nerve. It's our master, one of our master nerves. And so whenever there is inflammation in the digestive tract of any kind, whether that's bacterial imbalance, an actual active infection, leaky gut, SIBO, SIFO, any of those things, there is no way for it not to impact you on an emotional, cognitive, and neurological level. That's called the gut-brain connection. So if you are having mood symptoms, anxiety, irritability, insomnia, all of that points to leaky gut and dysbiosis. So there are very specific bacteria that will begin to show up when we're having symptoms of leaky gut, which really is endotoxemia. So systemic endotoxemia, which is where we get a flood of toxins into the bloodstream that really irritate us on a neurotransmitter level. Okay. So we get a flood of those neurotoxins, and then typically what I see on a lot of my microbiome testing for my clients is we see they have none of the bacteria that help to support mood and cognition and sleep. So we want to make sure that we are addressing the leaky gut and the dysbiosis, getting the right strains of bacteria in place to begin seeing improvements in these symptoms. All right, so this is the gut-brain axis that I wanted to show you. So we see, and this is from The Lancet in 2022, which is a very well-known scientific article that talks about what happens in the brain what happens in the brain happens because of what's happening in the gut. And then when the brain or the central nervous system is dysregulated, it's going to send signals to your gut to throw off a whole cascade of different things. So we see, a decrease in these beneficial bacteria and an increase in all of these toxic bacteria that cause really big issues, mainly through the microglia, which I'm not going to nerd out on that for you today. It is something I love to nerd out on, but I'm not going to do that for the purposes of today. But microglia serve two purposes in the nervous system. And one of those purposes is to clean up toxins in the brain. And the other is when it gets triggered in an unhealthy way, it will actually create kind of an autoimmune response in the brain, which will cause, anxiety, depression. It basically hangs out at the neurotransmitter level and causes a lot of issues with our neurotransmitters. So this is why it's really, really important if you are dealing with any mood, anxiety, irritability issues, that you are addressing your microbiome. You have to get the results that you're looking for, mainly so that we can shut off this cascade of the microglia that's affecting the neurons. Okay, so let's talk about what probiotics are. And this is just a screenshot of a common microbiome composition of somebody that is relatively healthy. So beneficial bacteria that is needed to keep the pathogenic or bad or harmful bacteria from overgrowing and causing issues. We get probiotics from the foods that we eat and from a therapeutic supplement when needed. Now, I will just say that most of the people that I work with clinically need to have a therapeutic grade probiotic as well as through dietary sources. So it's not enough just to eat the foods on the list that I recommend. You do actually have to take a therapeutic supplement to boost the bacteria that we need to. And if you're somebody that has not done microbiome testing, then I typically go by the symptoms that you're expressing to choose the right probiotic, or we can do a deep dive by doing the microbiome analysis and getting all of that good information to you. Prebiotics. Okay, so prebiotics and probiotics are not the same thing, but they do benefit each other. So prebiotics are high fiber foods that act as food for the probiotic. Okay, so they feed the probiotics. They help the good bacteria to do the right things in the gut. So we need to eat a diet that is rich in prebiotic fibers to not only help with unhealthy motility, but feed the good bacteria that supports a healthy immune system. So these are things like bananas, barley, everything on this screen, these are all really rich in prebiotics, prebiotic foods. So these are always beneficial and are typically well tolerated for most people unless there's a significant level of dysbiosis. And if that's the case, then I highly recommend reaching out to me so that I can help you navigate how to best support your body with that, so that you can begin tolerating these foods. Enzymes. Okay, so enzymes actually help to break down the food that you eat and make it available for your cells to use. So if you notice that you're having difficulty eating foods like that are high in protein, which we absolutely need, especially for us women, especially through puberty, especially through perimenopause, especially for men as they age. If you're noticing those things where you're finding it difficult to digest certain foods, then you probably need to add enzymes to help support that process. Okay, so there are some things that disrupt enzyme production. Excuse me. And that is a standard American diet. So these are foods that are heavily processed. Restrictive eating and intermittent fasting that will absolutely disrupt your enzyme production and your ability to break down certain foods. If you're eating while you are stressed, which is a lot of us moms, we end up eating in a stressful state, which can absolutely disrupt our enzyme production. And then, of course, back to what I was sharing before, infections like H. pylori can disrupt our ability to digest food appropriately. Okay, so how do we fix it? We fix it by addressing the root causes in a step-by-step way that really addresses all of the common problems that we see with digestive issues. So supporting stomach acid and enzyme production is huge. I always recommend starting with that through nutrition first, and then supplements only as needed. So sometimes we do need supplements initially, and then we're able to gradually get off of them, which is always the goal. My goal is never to keep somebody on a million supplements for life. That's just not sustainable for most of us. But supporting that stomach acid and enzyme production, which is the preliminary breakdown of all of our food, okay, is in this primary portion of the digestive tract. And then addressing gut inflammation, slow digestion, and bacterial overgrowth by utilizing a therapeutic probiotic specific to your symptoms or your microbiome analysis. Focusing on, again, nutrition first and then supplements if necessary. And then the third way to really begin addressing these root causes is to have appropriate support. So your gut will change, and some of these changes may feel uncomfortable at first. So for a lot of people, they might experience loose stools for 3 or 4 days when starting a protocol like this. Most of the time, that's not an indication to stop course or change course, okay? You will need expert guidance to help make sure that your body is responding and make quick changes as you need them, and getting you to a really good place. And so most of my clients experience pretty radical transformation in their microbiome health within about 4 to 6 weeks, usually sooner than that. And so it's very easy to fix once you have a straightforward plan, you know what you're addressing, and you have somebody working with you to identify and address all of the reasons why things might not be moving forward. All right, so that being said, I'm going to share with you the Master Your Microbiome 3-week reset. So this is where we address all of the root causes for, let's see if there's sound on that. There is. All of the root causes that I talked about in this training. Every single module has, if there are dietary suggestions, has a meal plan that accompanies that so that you don't have to think about what to incorporate or how to incorporate them or what recipes taste good. All of these recipes have been tried by my clients and approved by them for me to share, meaning that they have given me the thumbs up that it's a delicious recipe, keep sharing it. And then, so there will be a little training for you each week, and then dietary suggestions. And then depending on where you're at kind of in the healing phase, you may also have supplement recommendations. And then of course you have access to me in the group chat. So if this is something that you feel like would benefit you, I would highly encourage you to join. This is one of my most affordable programs and the most life transforming programs that I have because, again, when you address the microbiome, you address the entirety of your health, and every other part of you improves when your microbiome improves. So I would love for you to join me in this 3-week course. I will have the link to join in this module for you to access and get started on. And thank you so much for watching.